beautiful as ever. This is it. Incredibly light, a full row of function keys, and of course, rose gold. This is Apple's newest MacBook Air. The MacBook Air was just recently updated without an event because, well, of the COVID-19 pandemic, coupled with social distancing policies going on right now in the States. And that's a shame because this is probably one of the best things that happened to Apple's MacBook lineup in a while. Stay safe out there, guys. I just got mine in the mail today. I unboxed it and I'm gonna be working on a review using this to replace my daily driver. So, of course, a review is in the works, so stay tuned for that right there. Let's just jump right into it. So even though this is a first impressions video, I just want to get this out there that the MacBook Air line actually has a special place in my heart because it was one of the first laptops I was exposed to growing up. And it really got me introduced to the company at a young age. In fact, I think it might have been, no, actually my first Apple product I got to play around with was those clear plastic colorful Macs back in the day for typing class in middle school. Moving aside from that, obviously the look is the same. The display is the same as well, and it has the exact same ports. 2 Thunderbolt 3 ports, and looky here, a headphone jack. A little note to share with y'all right now is that the 2020 MacBook Air is actually slightly heavier than its predecessor, coming in at 2.8 pounds versus 2.7 pounds from the 2019 version. But you'll most likely never notice it in real life usage. This is just a factoid to flex on everyone you know. Now let's just get right into the meat of what makes this refresh so important to many people. That's this keyboard here. So the main actual difference between this year's MacBook Air and last year's MacBook Air is something only the trained eye could see or something that a typist would feel. Now Apple's newest MacBook Air is officially sporting the scissor switch mechanism that debuted in the 16-inch MacBook Pro just a bit beforehand. Not necessarily a new invention because Apple has used scissor switches before. This is new in terms of Apple previously switched scissors for low profile butterfly keys, but they've been, let's just say, not as durable. The new scissor mechanisms give 1 millimeter of travel for a responsive, comfortable, and more quiet typing experience. Bye-bye, butterfly keys. But we haven't gotten rid of all of them yet. The last MacBook to have the butterfly keys are the MacBook Pro 13-inch, and once that's gone, we can pour one out. It's nice to see Apple reacting to consumer demand here. People have been vocal about their disdain for the butterfly switches. Although they're not terrible, they do have a very bad reputation tied in with them. The switch to scissor keys now not only offer a far better typing experience, they're most likely to be significantly more durable compared to their predecessor. Typical MacBook Air fashion means no touch bar, but I've yet to meet someone who actually needs them. It sports the same 2560 by 1600 Retina display as last year's model at a 16 by 10 aspect ratio, and it does not take the modern approach to the laptop design with the 16 MacBook Pro slimmed down bezel. However, that probably would have increased the price point, and significantly too. Speaking of price point, the base model price of the MacBook Air has dropped actually by $100 American comparative to last year. So this is actually one of the first times in a while where we see a entry-level MacBook come down in price. Honestly, there are a lot of things we can talk about if we're comparing the base model specs for this year's compared to last year, but we're gonna be looking more into that into the full review. As of right now, I'm gonna be using this laptop as my main driver for the next while, and then I'll be forming my opinions on it, writing the script, and I gotta say, I'm kind of excited for this keyboard here. I have gone to play with the 16 inches keyboard in Apple stores and Best Buys, but actually using one for an extended period would be a real treat for myself. And we'll see just how it goes through my daily routine. Of course, speaking about this model in particular, this is the base model MacBook Air that Apple sells. And without getting too much into the specs, this is rocking Intel's i3 CPU. And honestly, that does kind of concern me, but we'll see how it handles day-to-day tasks. What I can, however, definitively say about the MacBook Air, even though I've only had it for a few hours now at this point, is that this is a good indication from Apple. A return to form, so to say. With this new price point and introduction of a new keyboard system, this is gonna get a lot of holdouts who are tepid about getting a new laptop from Apple. Apple's notorious butterfly switches really did hamper consumer enthusiasm for their new laptops. Now with that point rectified, and again with the lower price point, we might see a whole new generation of Apple fanboy and girls come into the fold as well. Now to finally address near the end the whole pricing structure, yes, it is lower, but at that price point, you can still buy comparative Windows machines that offer better performance on paper and better hardware out of the box. However, a person buying a MacBook Air isn't looking for that. They aren't trying to compare horsepower to horsepower. They just want something that works, that looks and feels good, and something they can trust will last a long time. I'm thinking this machine may be it. All right guys, see you in the next one. Stay safe out there, wash your hands, don't touch your eyes, and peace.